Hello. I would like to show you how your online portion of your tests are going to look. And so we'll just do this for test 1, but what you'll see for test 2 and test 3 will be similar. Remember that the final exam will not be online at all. So first, what you're going to do after you get seated in the testing center or with your proctor is you will open up Canvas, and let me start over here. On the home page, the very first module that I have will be the online tests. And so you'll click on it, and you'll be asking your proctor to fill in the password for you. And then you're going to see this page. And so I'm going to go ahead and read these directions. This is the online portion of your test. There is also one page, front and back, show your work portion of the test. Write your name on both sides. You may use 2 pieces of scratch paper that must be turned in to your proctor before you leave. Your proctor will provide the paper and you will write your name on these. You should not have anything stored in the memory of your calculator before beginning the test. If you do, this is an academic dishonesty violation and you will receive a 0 for this portion of the test. Please make sure that you read directions very carefully on every single question before entering answers. You are allowed 2 attempts per question. However, the second attempt will be a different, similar problem. So before reattempting a question, try to figure out what you did wrong so you will not make a similar mistake on your new attempt. I strongly recommend that you write the problems and number them on your scratch paper that's provided. That way you can find your work and think about what you may have done wrong. Please note that you will need to click on Submit for each question. Reattempting a question will not hurt your score. The better of the 2 attempts will count. But also please remember that on the paper portion of the test where you show your work, you have 1 try only. So I wanted to show you a few things. We're on question 1 here, and you can see how many points this question counts. And then you can also see which attempt you're on. Right now I'm on attempt 1 of 2. Your final test 1 score will come from these points on the online portion added to the points you earn on the paper portion to total up to 100. Okay, now I'm going to skip around a little bit, which you can do if you want to. I'm going to question number 6 because I wanted to demonstrate something and how important it is to read the directions. Okay, so this is asking me for the slope of the line passing through these 2 points. And so notice also it says give all answers using integers and or fractions, not decimals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter in the correct slope but in the wrong form. Okay, so that is 0.2 because 1/5 is actually the slope of this line. Notice it told me right away that 0.2 is not valid, so if I'm paying attention to the preview over there, which is a good idea, then some mistakes will be caught by paying attention to what the system is showing you over here. So that was 1/5, and then I'm going to fill in the answer for this one. And I would want to check it over here and make sure it looks correct before submitting it. Okay, so I got that one right. Let's skip to number 8. Okay, on this one we're supposed to find the midpoint. And notice it says to give your answer as a point with coordinates given as integers or reduced fractions. So if I fill in the midpoint, which is -17 halves 5, Again, it's telling me invalid notation. And that's because I should have filled in the parentheses. So I don't have to waste an attempt if I am actually using what's given over here. Oh, I did not check my answer, and so did you see what happened when I didn't check my answer? Let's do that again. It said leave site, changes you made may not be saved. And so then you can choose to stay there and, oh, actually I meant to submit that. Oh, I guess I found that one wrong. Let's go back and attempt that one again. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I subtracted -10 minus 7 instead of adding. Midpoint is found by adding the x's and dividing by 2 and adding the y's and dividing by 2. Now notice up here, I did that problem wrong. Notice up here it says reattempt last question. I can do it right then if I want to, if I get it wrong. Your other option is at the end of the test, you can go back and redo any of the problems where you haven't used up both attempts. So I'm going to go ahead and do that on this one. Go ahead and reattempt it. And notice I got a different problem. So let's see, 7 plus 4 is 11. And -6 plus 9 is 3. All right, so hopefully I get it right this time. Notice I've got my points are 3 on this one. And I am now on attempt 2 of 2. So if I get it wrong this time, it'll just count wrong. Okay, so I got that one right. Okay, nothing really different on this particular question, but I'm going to use this one as a demonstration for even as you're working through your homework, how you graph these particular functions. So this is saying the graph of f of x is shown in red. Draw this graph, the graph of g of x, which is f of x plus 3. Okay, now what that means is we want to draw the graph moved exactly 3 units up. So you want to start at the left side and you only want to move points that are either endpoints, so I'm pointing right now to the endpoints, or a vertex, which is going to be a place where you see 2 segments come together. So you wouldn't want to move other points. It'll count it wrong if you do that. So I'm starting over here at the left. I'm going to move that point up 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to click right there. And then I've got to go to the vertex next. You're moving from left to right, and I'm moving that point up 3 units. And then I'm going to move the last point up 3 units. And notice when I click, if I'm just sort of scrolling around, I have this extra segment. What you do is you click outside the box for that. And I'll go ahead and draw these other ones. When you negate a function, that means you're negating y, because f of x is interchangeable with y. So this is saying the opposite of y. So if y is -1, the opposite of that is +1. So I'm going to click on that point. And then the next point, the vertex there, where the segments come together, is at y equals 4. So that needs to be at -4. Clicking that. And then the last point that I'm going to move is the one here at 3, -2. Since the y is -2, I want to move to +2. So that was at 3, +2. And then I click outside the box. Okay, this next graph is changing x. And the way that works is the opposite of what you think sometimes, unless there's also a reflection. And I did talk about this in lecture. But if you will set x minus 3 equal to 0 and solve, it will show you whether you're moving right or left, depending on whether once you solve for x, it's positive or negative. So if I set x minus 3 equals 0 and solve, I'm going to get x equals +3. And so what that means is each of these points should move to the right 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. That's where that one goes. This one goes 1, 2, 3. And then this last one goes 1, 2, 3. And then I'm clicking outside the box. Okay, the very last problem, we are negating x. So if you have a -3 for your x value at this point, that's going to go over to +3. The next point is actually at x equals 0, and the opposite of 0 is still 0, so that point doesn't move. And then the third point, which was at 3, -2, is going to move to -3, -2. And then I'm clicking outside the box. Okay, on number 10, it's a circle, and these should always be in simplest form. And so using the circle equation for this, and of course remember you can use the tablet if you want to. So if I'd rather use the tablet, I can use the parentheses and fill in the x -6, and then see how this is going to work. Probably have to highlight that and then use the, oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Let me start over on that. You guys probably know how to do this better than I do. Okay, there we go. I went outside the box, and now I'm going to hit the square. But then I'm not going to simplify the 5, 6 squared and see what happens. See if it counts me wrong. See, it's telling me the syntax is okay, but it's marking it wrong, and that's because I did not simplify that 5, 6 squared. I should have written that as 25 over 36. Oh, it's going to make me do a new problem. I can't go and correct the problem that I just did. I have to go do a new problem. All right, so let's try this again. X plus 10 power 2 plus x plus 9 power 2 equals 100 over 49. I went ahead and squared the radius there. Interesting. What did I do wrong? 100 over 49. Circle center. That's interesting. That's... Oh, do you see what I did wrong? I bet you guys caught it. I put in an X right there instead of a Y. See it? Ugh. Got to be careful when you enter these answers. Too bad, I just missed that question. And I did want to show you what happens when you miss a question. You're going to get a red X. And I want to show you what happens if you miss a question the first time, but you haven't reattempted it yet. So here's another one. Give the function g of x, that is the graph of f of x equals the absolute value of x, but shifted left 4 units and shifted down 7. Your answer should be an equation which includes the correct function name. So what I'm going to do wrong this time is I'm not going to follow those directions. So I'm using the absolute value bar. Okay, we want it shifted left, so that's x plus 4, and shifted down 7. That's a -7 on the outside. All right, and oh, it's telling me a syntax error, but let's pretend like I don't see that because I want to show you what's going to happen. Okay, instead of doing an X, it's got the little round arrow. And so that means you still have an attempt. Now, of course, I'm going to have to do a new problem now because that's what happens on the second attempt. So I realize my mistake, especially if I've written it down and I go back and read carefully. Okay, this one shifted right 4, so x minus 4. And down 3, so minus 3. But this time I see that I wrote it correctly, and so hopefully it's right. And there you go. All right, this next one, I'm going to miss this one on purpose. The reason I want to miss it on purpose is it comes out to the square root of 65, which doesn't simplify. So you may get one like that. This problem right here, the answer is the square root of 65, and that would be it. So what I wanted to do is fill in a wrong answer. So let me do it without the square root, maybe. And just see if maybe the second time I'll get one that does simplify. No, that one doesn't either. Oh well. Sometimes you might get one that does require that you simplify it, like square root of 12. You would not write square root of 12 as your final answer. You would write 2 square root of 3. All right. That's it.